Naomi Brooks was a poor, black single mother whose entire world balanced precariously on the worn-out tires of her 2006 Honda Civic. It was the one thing tethering her to the life she worked so hard to hold together a way to get to work, take her daughter Alina to school, run errands, and survive. But in the space of a single afternoon, that fragile balance was shattered by the kind of violence that didn't arrive with fists, but with authority badges and bitter intentions. It started on an ordinary morning in Fairhaven, a small town in southern Kentucky with a reputation that lingered in the air like old smoke-quiet streets, friendly smiles, and a set of unspoken rules that you didn't question if you wanted to be left alone. Naomi's day began before the sun could break the horizon. Her alarm screamed at 5 a.m., dragging her out of bed, every muscle sore from her night shift at Dollar Station. She dressed quietly in the dark, trying not to wake her daughter, and slipped in her faded uniform with her name, Naomi, stitched crookedly over the breast pocket. The Civic, groaning to life like an old man with bad knees, was her only ally in a town that often felt like it had declared war on people like her. And yet, every day, she climbed in, turned the key, and fought back with resilience. Her daughter Alina was only 11, but already understood that being quiet and polite was sometimes safer than being right. She waited every afternoon at the community center for her mom to pick her up, knowing better than most kids how unforgiving the world could be. That day, Naomi had just finished another shift where she was berated by customers, brushed aside by her manager, and left to man the slowest checkout lane as punishment for showing up 2 minutes late the week before. Still, she smiled, apologized when insulted, and endured every snide comment. By late afternoon, she rushed across the sun-bleached parking lot, her hands gripping the Civic's wheel with silent prayers that it wouldn't stall out on the drive. But fate had been cruel before, and today was no exception. The car gave a violent shudder and died in the middle of Elm Street, blocking one of the main lanes. Naomi panicked but tried to stay calm. She turned on the hazard lights, stepped out, and popped the hood. Maybe it was something minor. Maybe a loose wire or a dead battery. But she knew in her gut it was more than that. The Civic was old, tired, and so was she. The horn started first. A red pickup swerved around her, and a man inside screamed, "Get that junk off the road, welfare trash." Naomi swallowed the rage, the shame, and the tears. She didn't respond. She couldn't afford to. Then came the patrol car. 2 officers stepped out, one older, square-jawed, with a crew cut and the kind of smirk that suggested he already knew how this would end. Officer Brent Maddox. The younger one, Officer David Welch, lingered behind, less confident, eyes flicking nervously between the woman and the child in the back seat. "What's the problem here?" Maddox barked, already approaching with a hand near his holster. "The engine died," Naomi said, trying to keep her voice calm. "I'm just trying to restart it. I'll call roadside assistance." "License," he snapped. No question, no conversation. Just a demand. Naomi fumbled for her wallet, hands shaking. She handed him a license and quietly offered her insurance and registration. Maddox didn't look impressed. "State aid insurance," he muttered, loud enough for the people on the sidewalk to hear. Welch glanced at Alina, who sat motionless, watching through the window. "My daughter's in the car," Naomi said. "She's scared. We're not doing anything wrong." That's when Maddox laughed. A sharp, bitter sound. It's always the same story. It's the car, the system, the world out to get you. Maybe it's just not knowing how to act right in public. Then, everything escalated. "Turn around. Hands behind your head," he ordered. Naomi's jaw dropped. "What? I didn't." "You're obstructing traffic. Resisting inspection. Turn around." Before she could respond, Maddox had spun her, yanked her arms back, and slammed the cold steel cuffs on her wrists. Alina screamed from the car, jumping out. "Mama didn't do anything." "Stay in the car," Naomi cried. But Maddox wasn't finished. He stalked toward the Civic, pulled out his baton, and began smashing the hood. Once. Twice. The sound of warping metal rang through the street. The side mirror shattered. The headlight caved in. "This thing's a hazard. Call a tow," he barked to Welch, who flinched but obeyed. Naomi could do nothing. She was cuffed, humiliated, and her child was watching it all. But what Maddox didn't realize was that Alina had been recording with her phone, hands trembling, heart pounding, capturing every word, every blow, every abuse of power. That footage would later expose far more than anyone expected. When Naomi and Alina finally made it home on foot, after the tow truck dragged away the one thing that kept their lives moving, there was no room left for dignity. Their low-income apartment felt smaller than ever. Naomi boiled water for instant noodles, her hands shaking as she tried to wipe away the memory of the street, the cuffs, and the weight of her daughter's silent stare. It was that night Naomi made the call, the one she swore she'd never make. "Micah, I need help." Her brother, Naomi Brooks, was a former Green Beret, once one of the most lethal snipers in his unit. He had left Fairhaven years ago and hadn't looked back, not after the town had nearly crushed them both. But when Naomi called, he didn't ask questions. He got on a first bus. Micah arrived the next day, quiet, imposing, still carrying the air of a soldier who didn't need to say much to be heard. He listened as Naomi told him everything, and when she mentioned Officer Brent Maddox, something in Micah's eyes changed. He remembered the name. Maddox had been a bully since high school. Back then, he hated that Micah had made varsity over him. One night, Maddox and his friends jumped him in an alley after practice. No one believed Micah's story. The town protected its own. Now, that same bully had a badge. Micah didn't waste time. He began digging. He found the impound lot where Naomi's Civic had been taken. Under the cover of night, he watched as workers stripped parts from towed vehicles, loading them onto unmarked trucks. He filmed it all. Every bolt removed, every battery yanked, every illegally seized car dismantled like prey. Most of the cars belonged to Black or Latino families from poor neighborhoods. Micah cross-referenced badge numbers, reports, and tow logs. A pattern emerged: intentional targeting, orchestrated seizures, and a smuggling operation hidden under layers of legal jargon. The web led to Town Councilman Victor Rain and Police Chief Everett Blake. Maddox was just one enforcer in a much bigger machine. Micah brought the evidence to Naomi. She watched the footage in silence, her hand on Alina's shoulder. When it ended, she didn't cry. She simply said, "Let's expose them." But they weren't the only ones watching. Threats began arriving. Anonymous texts. Photos of Alina taken from a distance. A brick through the window with a crudely drawn target symbol. They moved to a safe house arranged by Micah's old military contact. But it wasn't enough. One night, while Micah met with an informant, Alina disappeared. Nos crimes. Nos traged. Just an open window and a message on Naomi's phone. Surrender the footage or lose your child. Micah returned, saw Naomi on the ground, and didn't hesitate. He armed himself, traced the signal, and stormed the warehouse where Alina was being held. Inside, Maddox waited. He greeted Micah with a sneer. "You're too late." But he wasn't. Micah fought like a man possessed, fists flying, bones breaking. He took Maddox down with surgical precision and made him confess on camera every name, every order, every corrupt official. By the time federal agents arrived, the truth had already spread. The video leaked. The operation unraveled. Victor Rain, Everett Blake, and several other officials were arrested. The impound lot was shut down. Dozens of wrongfully seized vehicles were traced and returned. Naomi was exonerated. Alina, though shaken, stood beside her mother as a symbol of courage in the face of cruelty. Micah didn't stay in the spotlight. He vanished back into the shadows, but his work wasn't forgotten. Naomi launched an initiative called Keys of Justice, providing legal aid and transportation support to families targeted by systemic abuse. Alina spoke at town halls and schools, reminding the world that silence is complicity. And somewhere out there, Micah watches quietly, ready to stand again should justice ever need a soldier in the dark. Because some fires, once lit, don't die. They become light.